video, we are covering the second example in heat transport, heat conductions with a nuclear heat source. So we consider a spherical nuclear fuel element. So in this particular system is this one. In the center of the sphere we have this basically a nuclear fuel element. Okay, it consists of a sphere of fissionable material with radius RF. So this particular sphere, and is surrounded by a spherical shell of aluminum cladding with outer radius RC. So this one in here is an aluminum cladding. The outer sphere in here is an aluminum cladding. Inside the fuel element, fission fragments are produced that have very high kinetic energies. So collision between these fragments and the atoms of the fissionable material provide the major source of thermal energy in the reactor. Such a volume source of thermal energy resulting from nuclear fission is called SN. It has a unit of Cal multiplied by centimeter minus 3 multiplied by second minus 1. This source will not be uniform throughout the sphere of fissionable materials. It will be smallest at the center of the sphere. So we can assume that the source can be approximated by a simple parabolic function given by Sn in here. Okay, this Sn in here is multiplied by 1 plus constant b multiplied by r raised to square divided by rf, also raised to square as well. And what we mentioned by the parabolic is in here it has basically it has a form where it is raised to 2. Okay, so at r equals 0, then this will be equal as Sn will be equal to Sn. Oh, okay, in that case we say that it will be smallest at the center of the sphere basically. Here SNO is basically defined as the volume rate of heat production at the center of the sphere, and B is a dimensionless positive constant. So our systems in here is a spherical system of thickness delta R within the sphere of fissionable material. So if I draw it in here, we can take a circle in here. We assume that this is a sphere. So in this section we only draw the cross sections of the sphere. Okay, and then we draw it like this. Then this has a particular radius of r, and then this has a thickness of delta r. Okay, the system is not in motion, saying that the energy balance will only consist of the heat conduction term and the source term. So if we take this shell elements in here that we basically put in the dashed line in here, then we can determine the terms associated with the rate of heat in, rate of heat out, and rate of thermal energy productions. So let me put this in here. So the first one is, let's deal with the rate that is going in and then out, and then whatever is produced within this volume of the sphere in here. Okay, the rate of heat in will be equal to Q R, and then this one is in this small sphere, so it's defined as the FF in here is refers to the fissionable material, which is the inner sphere basically. Okay, inspected at R multiplied by the 4 pi r square, and 4 pi r square in here refers to the surface area of the sphere, and this can be lumped together into 4 pi r square QR F inspected at R. Likewise, the rate of heat out QR F inspected at R plus delta R multiplied by 4 pi R plus delta R square equal to 4 pi r square QRF inspected at r plus delta r. Okay, and then the rate of thermal energy produced is basically this Sn in here, which is basically per unit volume. Okay, so we need to multiply by the volume of the spherical shell element. So this one multiplied by 4 pi r square multiplied by delta r. Then we can substitute these terms into the energy balance of the fissionable materials. And then we divide by 4 pi delta r, and then in the bottom we take limit as delta r approaching 0. Okay, this one we continue. We can take this r square QRF r plus delta r minus r square QRF r divided by delta r is equal Sn r square. Okay, so this will be d over dr r square QRF, then this is equal Sn r square. You cannot simply separate this r square with this QRF again, like I told you, so that you cannot basically separate these two, because this one is a functions of r. Okay, so they have to be lumped together, or if you don't if you basically separate them, then you will end up with the wrong expression. And then this Sn in here is also a functions of r, as you can see in here. Okay, this Sn in here is a functions of r, so we should not forget that. And when we substitute, we need to substitute everything in full. We can also derive the same for the aluminum cladding. With the difference that there is no generation of heat. What we mean by cladding in here is these sections in here. Okay, basically the surrounding part of the inner sphere. Okay, that if we do that, then we derive in the similar way, then we will get this d over dr r square qc is equal to 0. Then we can integrate the first ordinary differential equations that we have over there. Best to expand that term together, then now we can integrate this r square qrf is equal Sn naught 1/3 r raised to 3 plus b divided by 5 rf square n raised to 5 plus c1f. So this one c1f in here refers to the first constant for the cladding, for the fissionable element, okay, the inner sphere. Then your QRF will be equal to Sn naught 1/3 R plus B divided by 5 RF square R raised to 3 plus C1F divided by R square. Okay, likewise you can do the same for the aluminum cladding. So for the aluminum cladding you have this D R square QRC is equal 0. R square QRC can be integrated. This one will be equal C1, but C1 in here it's coming with this superscript because this one is denoting the one the cladding, whereas this one is on the fissionable element. Okay, then your QRC will be equal to C1C divided by R square. Then we have boundary conditions. Actually we need 4 boundary conditions for this particular problem. Okay, the first 2 boundary conditions is that BC1 at R equals 0, QRF is finite, so it means not infinite. Okay, at BC2, the BC2 will be at R equal RF, or the radius of your inner sphere or the fissionable material. QRF is equal QRC. Okay, then we need to do the first one first. So in order for us to know what's gonna be happening when we put in the first one, so to comply with BC1, then your C1F should be equal to 0, because in here, if we go up in here, if at 0 C1F is not 0, then you will end up with an infinite value. Okay, so with this, then you can get that QRF is equal to Sn naught 1/3 R plus B divided by 5 RF square R raised to 3. Okay, then we can put in the BC2. So the BC2 in here will be QRF at R equal RF will be equal to QRC at R equal RF. and we can put in both expression SNO RF plus B divided by 5 RF square RF raised to 3 is equal C1 C divided by RF square. Then you will be able to get the constant for the cladding SNO equal to 1/3 RF raised to 3 plus B divided by 5 RF raised to 3. And then you will be able to get the expressions of the heat flux in the cladding. That will be 1/3 plus B divided by 5 RF raised to 3 divided by R square. So with the first two boundary conditions, then you be able to get this expression of the heat flux in the cladding sections, and then also the heat flux in the inner sphere or the fissionable part of your system. Okay, the next steps in here will be involving substituting the Fourier's law to both these equations in here. Okay, and then by the other two boundary conditions, basically BC3 and BC4, where at the radius of your fissionable materials, then the temperature should be continuous, and then at the outer radius of the cladding, then the temperature should be equal to T0. Then you will be able to solve for the temperature profiles in the sphere and temperature profiles in the cladding, and then you will be able also to get the maximum temperature. I will not derive it in here, but the details has been given in the notes that comes in this week Canvas. So I would encourage you to go and look into the note and figure out the details yourself to basically brush up your mathematical skills. With that, I conclude this example video. Thank you for listening.